Republican Senator Ron Johnson, chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Committee, joins me now. Senator, what's your reaction to what she had to say? You know, as head of the Department of Justice, the arm that is supposed to be finding these people and snuffing them out before they can do the kinds of heinous things they did in Orlando.
Good morning, Martha. I wish it were that easy. But let's face it, the only way you end a war, there's two ways to end a war. You either defeat the other side or both sides decide to lay down their arms. That's not happening with Islamic terror. And that's certainly what our hearing was about yesterday, is the ongoing brutality, the savagery, the depravity, the barbarity of ISIS it's hard to describe. It's actually hard to listen to the witnesses. We had a young Yazidi woman, Nadia, come and describe her captivity, her enslavement, her rape. There's the reality. There's not a whole lot of love there. And so the bottom line is what we have to do to defeat Islamic terror is actually destroy them. We have to defeat ISIS. We have to hunt down Islamic terrorists wherever they have found safe haven on the planet, and we have to defeat them. It's going to take a long-term effort. It's going to take a commitment by the civilized world, people that actually do love peace. But that's not ISIS's profile. I mean, I don't know why they do what they do, but they're doing it, and it has to be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of baffling, really. She said, you know, we'll never know his motivation. I mean, he made very clear his motivation. He said it several times. He said, I pledge allegiance to ISIS and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. I pledge allegiance to ISIS many times. I mean, I don't know what the confusion is over his motivation. He stated it, as I said, quite clearly. And the young woman that you talked about who testified, she wants very much to draw the link here. It is Nadia Tahoe, age 21. She's a Yazidi. She knows firsthand the way that ISIS operates. And she said, Orlando will be repeated if the world doesn't put an end to such terrorism. There is no sanctuary. With today's weapons and bioterror, no place is safe for anyone. Daesh, which is the word for ISIS that she used, is powerful, and it has been helped. She broke down in tears in front of your committee yesterday. She desperately wants the world to take this group more seriously and to understand the cohesiveness of it, Senator Johnson. How do you feel that the Department of Justice is doing and the nation is doing in understanding the message of this young woman?
I'm frequently asked, what's the greatest threat facing this nation? As chairman of the Homeland Security Government Affairs Committee, now I could list a whole laundry list of threats. I've been answering it as the denial of reality. I mean, your previous segment, we're just denying the reality of what's happening on our city streets. We're denying the reality that it's really caused by ISIS and that hate. And so we have got to combat that. We have to address that. There have been 1,191 terror-related deaths, ISIS-inspired deaths, outside of Iraq and Syria since 2015. Nadia is right. This isn't going away. We will see tragedy after tragedy after tragedy unless we start attacking the root cause, which is Islamic terror, and the fact that ISIS has this territory. They have the caliphate. As long as they exist, they'll continue to be perceived as winners. They'll continue to inspire and possibly direct more and more of these terrorist attacks. So we have to face that reality. This administration, unfortunately, is not facing that reality, and certainly isn't leading to the extent that America has to lead if we're going to really deal with it.
I mean, I would imagine that most people want to hear from the Department of Justice what's done to stop these attacks, what's being done to find these individuals and stop them. We know he was on 2 terror watch lists. One of the issues is that the time runs out on them. And if you don't have something solid enough, you can't just keep investigating that person. And because his name fell off of that watch list, he was able to walk in and buy the weapons that he carried out this horrific attack with. What are you doing in Congress and the Senate to try to address that issue?
Well, we're gathering the facts. I mean, you pointed out one of the facts there that the end of the investigation was a preliminary investigation. Well, they could open up a long-term investigation and keep their sights on him. I realize resources are limited, but you could have kept him on that terror watch list so when he went to buy that gun, it would have been pinged. The other thing they could have done, I think, again, I don't have the facts on this yet, but there was, apparently Mateen went into this Lotus Gun Works, tried to buy body armor. Tried to then got on his cell phone and was speaking in a foreign language, came back and tried to buy ammunition in bulk. Now, the gun owner responsibly did not sell it to him, contacted local officials, had the FBI come in, it sounds like they never even pulled the surveillance tapes on that. So listen, I realize this Monday morning quarterbacking, that's my job. We're going to gather the facts. We're going to find out what we could have done that might have actually prevented that particular terrorist attack. That's what we have to do. We have to gather the facts on Orlando, on San Bernardino, on Fort Hood, Texas, and take a look at where potentially political correctness prevented people from reporting things or prevented our law enforcement officials from actually taking the actions that could have prevented these.
Yeah, I mean, this is an increasing problem, which is quite obvious. It's getting worse, and it's getting worse, and it's not going to get better until we figure out ways to address it, at least get our arms around it in some way. Ron Johnson, Senator, thank you very much. Always good to have you with us.